Pleasure to be joined now by offensive line commitment and signee Andrew Leingang. First off, let's start right there with the name. For all the fans out there that might think might be pronounced another way, let's hear it from you, Andrew. It is Leingang, correct?
Correct, Leingang.
All right, there it is. Let's start with your high school season and your career real quick, Andrew. 23-0, if I'm not mistaken, as an upperclassman. North Dakota 3A Senior Athlete of the Year. Is there anything that that you didn't accomplish that sort of eats at you, or are you pretty satisfied?
You know what? I just feel like being part of that Century football program was an unbelievable experience. I feel like I had a great support staff around me there, great coaches, great teammates who pushed me to be the best person and best player I could be every day. And I'm just so grateful to have all those guys in my life and to get me to this point.
Nationally televised game right out of the gate for you. Describe what that was like, just kind of in the school and around town. How cool that was.
Oh, it was really cool. It was hearing that ESPN was coming to North Dakota to broadcast a football game. It was really awesome. I feel like it was a unique opportunity for the state of North Dakota itself, and it was just so awesome to be able to be a part of something like that.
And I would imagine you had family, friends, K-State fans were obviously able to watch you. Was your social media kind of on fire after that game?
Yeah, a little bit. I know a lot of people reached out. Like I said, it was just an awesome experience, just being able to be a part of something like that.
You said before in an interview that there's no better feeling than taking someone across from you to their breaking point. Has there ever been a player that you haven't been able to break? Do you ever think you will come to against an opponent that you won't feel confident you can break them down?
You know what? I've played against some great players here in North Dakota, and I know there's definitely going to be a challenge once I get to K-State and get to the Big 12. It's definitely going to be a challenge, and I'm just looking forward to that challenge. Just being better every day, just keeping my head down, going to work, and it's something I'm looking forward to, and just priding myself on that hard work and just being able to do something like that.
Reminds me, there was a quote I think of Brian Dawkins back on the Eagles where he used to tell people he would take people's souls, and that kind of reminded me of that. In your mind, and you're obviously very humble, but for a second, maybe step out of that for a moment, because in your mind, who is the greatest football recruit to ever come out of the state of North Dakota, and are you ready to admit, at least from a recruiting standpoint, that you should be in that conversation?
Honestly, North Dakota, they've had some great football players here. I know Carson Wentz. I went to high school with Carson, and he ended up going to NDSU. Connor McGovern, who went to Missouri and went to the New York Jets. There's a lot of great players, and I'm just so honestly humbled to be a part of that group like that. And I'm just happy to be at the point where I am. And honestly, the recruiting cycle, it's so awesome. But for me, I understand that it's all going to just take when I get there and just being able to take all of my everything I have and get to that point, get on campus. And like I said, it's just time to get to work. I feel like the recruiting process, it's an unbelievable experience being able to talk to some great universities, but it's all business at the end of the day. And that's just kind of how I go about things.
Your high school coach, Coach Wingenbach, told our Adam Suderman in an interview earlier this fall that you were 6'3", 190 as a freshman. Did you ever kind of see yourself being in this spot in this sport 4 years ago?
I've always loved football from all the way Pee-wee football all the way up. And as a freshman, like you said, I was about 6'3", 190. And that summer, I know there was an opportunity that I could start at offensive guard or somewhere on the O-line. And I really pushed myself, worked hard. I got up to 225 my sophomore year. And from there, I just knew like football was my thing. I enjoyed the physical nature of the game. And just from there on, I just prided myself on doing the little things right. You know what? Like eating right, sleeping right, and then just doing things in the weight room that will get me to the best point where I can be.
Being kind of a lighter O-lineman in those early years, did it force you to kind of become a little bit more technically savvy? And do you feel like that helped once you got the weight on later in your high school career?
I definitely say so. I know I've always feel like I've been a pretty assignment strong offensive lineman at Century, and I credit a lot of that to my coaches putting me in that position and just kind of knowing that hand placement, what I'm doing, using some of those mental IQs. And then once I started putting on that weight and putting on that strength, it just felt like everything came together, you know?
I'm glad you brought up the sleep and the nutrition part of it, because again, we've talked to a bunch of people throughout the course of your recruitment just to kind of get a better idea of who you are as a player and a person. And Coach Weiss at Sanford Power, and I think he does some stuff with Century as well. He had mentioned that you're big on details about sleep and nutrition. Share with us a little bit more about, those details of things, like what went into your nutrition this off season. When you talk about sleep, what are you exactly getting at there, and how'd you get up to 275?
You know what? I just feel like Coach Wise does an awesome job with the Century program, and at Sanford Power, I know he preaches what to do right, and I thank him for everything he's done for me. And I know this summer I would have a big breakfast. I love making breakfast, making about 4 eggs, 2 pieces of toast, and then some sort of protein in there, protein shake. And then from there, I just snack throughout the day, PB&Js, stuff like that. And then lunch, dinner, and just eating the right stuff, because it's what you put inside your body that really, helps you. And a lot of people take that for granted. That's how you kind of grow, not only like physically, but it's just how you grow. And I know sleep is so important. I worked out at 6 a.m. every morning throughout the summers, and I know I made sure I wanted to get to bed at least by 10. At least 8 hours of sleep is something that I would always try to focus on, 9:30, 10. And like I said, Coach Wise has done an awesome job just reiterating those details for us and helping us get to the point that we've been.
Where are you at now as far as height and weight go?
I'm with the fro, I'd probably say I'm about 6'7", but honestly, right now, I'd say without shoes, without everything, I'd probably about 6'5", and then right now I'm about 275, 280. And for me, I know the weight. I just feel like I want to go into K-State feeling explosive. Being able to move well, move explosively, and then being able to bend. Because I know once I get there, they'll be able to put some weight on me and do it the right way. So.
And you mentioned the hair before we started recording. You describe it as a Jackie Moon. Is there
Yep.
are there
Jackie
other
Moon
kind of are there other taglines that maybe your friends and teammates have tagged it?
I know Jackie Moon, something that always comes up. It'd be a pretty funny Halloween costume. But I had an afro my 8th grade year, and I said the only time I'm going to bring it back out is my senior year of football, and now it's back. And we had a little hair contest, me, Bryant, and then some of the recruits. And right now, I think the fro is doing pretty well.
Yes, you've got Coach Pratt beat in that one. Speaking of the coaches, real quick, when did you remember your first kind of meeting with Coach Riley and Coach Kleiman, and what stood out about that first time you got to talk with them?
Actually, so Coach Riley, I want to say I was a freshman, and there was a offensive line camp or line of scrimmage camp at VCSU, Valley City in North Dakota. And Coach Riley was obviously at NDSU, and he came to that camp for one day and just kind of worked with some of the old linemen, worked some drills. And I just remember he just got on you well, and I just enjoyed someone like that, just coaching in his style and being able to talk to those guys. I'm so excited to play for guys like that and the staff as a whole. I'm really just looking forward to playing for those guys.
Is there a conversation that you had, or was there a moment that you had in considering K-State that you felt was the linchpin as far as them winning over your recruitment, where you said, you came home, looked at your parents or whatever and said, that's it, that's where I want to be?
Honestly, throughout the whole recruiting process, there was always a gut feeling like Manhattan might be the place where I'm going to succeed for these next 4 or 5 years. And it was always that gut instinct throughout the process. I continue to have my options open. And once it got down to deciding, I just kind of felt like Kansas State would be a great home for me for the next 4 or 5 years.
You can play just about anywhere on the offensive line. Has Coach Riley talked about a specific spot? Do you have a specific spot where if you had it your way, a position that you would like to start with at least?
Coach Riley, I know, has told me play a little swing, so a little guard and tackle. And for me, I played everywhere on our Century O line besides center. And even in the summers when our skill guys are running routes and throwing a little bit, I'll mess around a little bit and do some center snaps and work on that a little bit. But honestly, I just want to be as versatile as I can and just being able to fill some of those holes and just get there to the point where I know those different positions. Because if I know some of those different positions, I feel like it'll just help me understand the offense better, schemes, and I'm just so excited for the opportunities ahead.
One more thing I wanted to ask you just about being a lineman. Youngest of, if I'm not mistaken, you have 2 older brothers.
Yep.
Did that help toughen you up? I mean, is that why you are the way you are when you kind of get in the trenches?
I'd say so. I know my brothers, being the youngest brother, it's a little tough, especially in those early years, but I just think my parents, my brothers, they've done such a good job kind of guiding me throughout this process. And honestly, I enjoy being an offensive lineman. I feel like it's a job where a lot of people might say, but for me, I just feel like I have that team first attitude, and that's the one thing I want to do is win games, and I'll do whatever I can to do to help contribute to our team success.
What sort of individual kind of outlook do you have for yourself, or is there an expectation, kind of a bar that Coach Riley has kind of set for you in some of your latest conversations?
I know Coach Riley and I have talked about a little bit, just getting there, just doing the little things right. And honestly, if I can maybe play in a few games before my redshirt gets up, that'd be awesome. That's a goal of mine, and to get in some of those games, I feel like that'd be really cool. But I know first and foremost, I just want to get in there, get in the system, the weights, the nutrition, and start doing the things and just work hard and see where it takes me.
Have you bonded with anybody in this class? Is there kind of a guy that you talk with more than another?
Yeah, I know I have a lot of good buds from the class. I know we have a group chat, and then we have a fantasy league that we always mess around with. But I know Austin, the other O-line commit, I've been able to grow. Gavin, Devontae, B. Wood, a lot of those guys are just some guys I'm looking forward to competing with every day, and just some people I'm looking forward to just being with. So
Let's round out the interview with some fun stuff. Let's talk hobbies for a minute, Andrew. What do you do when you need a break from football, when you need a break from training? Where do you go? Where does your mind go?
honestly, I know video games, I'll do video games here and there, but in the past few months I haven't been big video games. But honestly, hunting and fishing is obviously something I enjoy doing, and honestly just hanging out with friends and family is always something that I enjoy doing.
So Tuttle Creek might be a spot that fans could find you off the field in the future?
I'd say so, yes.
One other thing that I want to ask you about, being from North Dakota, what is cold to you? How cold does it have to get before you say, okay, I'm cold?
That's tough because some of these winters are -50 with wind chill. I know I got done with a weights workout at the school, and while I walked out, I got to my car and I noticed my eyebrows were just frozen just from that little sweat, and I was like, wow. And that's something honestly, it's just North Dakota, and you gotta do what you gotta do. So
The good news is I don't think you'll have that problem when you leave the Veneer complex, so that's a good thing. Andrew, thank you so much for taking some time to talk recruiting with us. Congratulations on officially signing with the K-State Wildcats.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.